Hi, and welcome to Let's do that again. Welcome to Welcome to Wrong Way. Ta-da! And today, I got this small powerhouse of a suspension wheel for you. The Begode Falcon. So, let me tell you more about it. Whee! Wrong way. First up, huge thanks to Begode themselves for providing me this wheel for testing purposes and also for me to keep. So this is sort of a freebie. I can use it however I want, and I'll be sure to tell you about all the pros and cons, squeaking Falcon, of this wheel. And if you want to get a wheel like this, lo svenio, bravissimo, in Europe, feel free to check out OneRide. They are the distributor I work with in Europe, and you can use my coupon code WRONGWAY to get an additional 5% off on your UC purchase. So yeah, that's pretty cool, I guess. So I said that this wheel is a powerhouse, but how are we actually gonna test it, whether that is actually true? First up, let's do a speed test. And I don't have a full battery, so probably you'll be getting more speed out of it. Okay, 38. It's beeping at 38 at my speedo. I don't know how fast it is via GPS. You can see it in the corner. And I also have tilt back at that speed, so it won't allow me to go faster. I have the limit set at 70% just because I don't like to die. So this speed test is just to show you that you can always get like 30 kilometers an hour, 35, no problem. And probably more if you have a full battery. With that said, I think for such a small wheel, good result. So yeah, I guess this was more of a sort of real world speed test, not like an absolute maximum full charge, backwind and, you know, aerodynamic gear on, but yeah. 30 to 35, I would say. It's a good speed right there. Next up, it's time for my 40-degree incline test. And usually I make this test with wheels that are twice as expensive or the camera. 1.5 times or 2 times more heavy. And honestly, I think this is too much for it. This is ridiculous, but I want to try it anyways because, hey, wrong way. That's the name of a channel. Also not a full battery, but this shouldn't be a problem. Okay, let's go. Here goes nothing. Whoa! Oh! We actually made it. That's crazy. Can I actually go down and like not die? Please, Begode. Let's go slow. Whoa! Whoa! All right, that this wheel made it. This is actually crazy. I did like help myself a little bit with my hands. And I was struggling to have grip, but it made it. I want to try again. Let's go a little bit quicker. Let's go. All right. Oh yeah. All right. Now without any struggles. That's crazy. Like the pedals go quite soft, but come on. Like I would never voluntarily do such an incline on the Falcon, but but it can do it. Hey, what a testament to its powerhouse abilities. All right, let's do it for me one more time. Just one more time. And guys, I can't stress this enough how ridiculous this is. Come on, come on, come on. Whoop. Woohoo! I'm struggling both with grip and with torque, but I can do it. It's crazy. Like back in the day, I tested the V13 and the V13 couldn't do it. And this like tiny little small package is it's amazingly capable. So yeah, size does matter, but power too. But in this case, actually the power mattered more, so there's hope. All right, let's get back to the wheel. And before you say,
this test is pointless, like I don't do such stuff in a usual day-to-day errand anyway.
This just goes to show you to see where the end of the torque limit is. And torque is super important in wheels because, you know, if you don't have torque, you lean and then you'll fall. And this just shows you that there's quite a bit of headroom on this little powerful wheel. By the way, yes, we are in Warsaw, Poland, and you can tell by the cars which are parked on the sidewalk. Maybe they are actually taking it off the sidewalk. That'd be actually pretty sweet. Oh yeah! I mean, the police could park on the street, but anyway, that is progress. Like, we have so much of that here. I hate it, just cars everywhere on the sidewalk. All right, but back to the wheel. Now, power and, you know, being a wheel powerhouse is something that I'm used to. We got a lot of powerful, heavy wheels throughout the last years, with some minor exceptions like the S16, S19, or the new Begode M105 that I also will make a video about with the King songs. I already have a video on my channel, but this small suspension wheel is such a breath of fresh air. I'm just like so fast with it, and I'm so maneuverable, and it's really bringing me back the joy of EUC riding, which is both portability, ease of use, and combining it easily with pedestrian infrastructure, a train, a car, etc., etc. So, you know, I was just riding, now I have the trolley handle, which is on a good height. You can see that the wheel is also very well balanced and small, and it just weighs around, I guess, 20 kilograms. So it's not so hard to like put it up into a car trunk, to just carry it around, to push it around. This is just so nice, and it brings me so much joy of, you know, unicycling. Oh, it's flickering a lot here. So kudos to Begode for actually making a new product that is lighter, that still has suspension, and is not so obnoxiously expensive as other wheels. But still, when it comes to price, I wish it would be a little bit less expensive. I'll talk about that later. Also, I just need to like yank it down. And the lightness helps a lot with tricks too. And here we have the beautiful castle in Warsaw. And now we can just go downstairs backwards on the Falcon. So while, yeah, I won't take this wheel out for jumps, for like super hardcore off-road trails, although some people do that also, just going around the city and with the usual, whoa, whoa. And with the usual obstacles I encounter here, it's like, it's good enough. And whenever I was going to a small city where I just don't need to sort of work and make videos about wheels or, you know, train to do jumps, inclines, etc., I would take this wheel because it's just so easy to put into a car trunk. It doesn't take up so much space. And the same thing applies to trains too. You just take it in, you put it into the luggage storage, and you're good to go. And then you can just like jump around. So much fun with that wheel. All right, but for those 2,000 euros, what do you get with the Falcon, especially also compared to the competition like the Kingsong S16 or Kingsong S19? Because as said, there's really no competition at the InMotion lineup. The V11 is just more expensive, and they don't have any smaller, cheaper suspension wheels yet. And Veteran, yeah, they don't have anything in that price category. So let's start with the battery. Out of the box, you get very good batteries in this wheel. You get Samsung 50S cells, which are both high discharge and high capacity, which is very much needed for a small wheel that has a lot of power draw. And here, when it comes to the battery management system, I'm actually gonna go off course from my usual stand on the BMS, because here is no smart BMS. And I would like to have a good working smart BMS on that wheel. However, it just has two parallels. So if there's a dead cell in some of those parallels, then the UC will beep. It will notify you that something is wrong. And while the S16 in comparison and S19 do have a smart BMS, it just works terribly. And there's a lot of wheels that need service, and you just can't ride it because the software or the tech they used on those smart BMSs is actually worse than the non-smart BMS on this wheel. Now, of course, it's not a super dumb BMS or something. It still has, overcharge protection, overcurrent, and all of those goodies. And as far as I was testing it for now, when riding it around, all of the limits are set right. Also, the max charge limit is set wisely at 8 amps, which is, by the way, super quick. So yeah, no smart BMS, but actually, I would say better than the S16 and S19. What is better as well is that the batteries are shrink wrapped and, safely stored in those very sturdy metal boxes, as well as the stock charger is 5 amps. So just 2 hours for a full charge with the stock charger, or under 2 hours. I left the stock charger in the box, but it's about this big, like exclude the hand. That's how big it would be. Yeah, I should have definitely got it out of the box, but yeah, that big, because I usually use either this one or this tiny vector charger. 5 amps to 9 amps. Sadly, I can just use the 5 amp setting because of the max charge rate of this wheel at 8 amps. And the quickest way to charge is like just a bit over an hour, which is awesome for such a small powerhouse. If you want to get a fast charger for it, I highly recommend PitZoom. You can use my coupon code WRONGWAY to get a discount for those chargers too. So this charger is a little bit overkill for the Falcon, but look at that, 8 amps. And of course you can use this charger also to charge other wheels as well. Now, moving on to the power, I think it is very sufficient and on a similar level as the S16, S19, which means about 40 km/h top speed at a full charge, maybe slightly slower, but the torque is still there. And I think that the limits that you can set in the app are well made. I have no complaints about power, especially in this form factor. You can get this wheel both with a street tire or a off-road tire. Now I have the street tire. This was sent to me by Begode and I love it. It's very maneuverable, super nice to do turns with, and it doesn't really throw you off into any direction. If you want to have a slightly more stable wheel, I would suggest the off-road tire. But having such a wide tire is awesome, especially if you have just a smaller all-in-all tire. What's the diameter here actually? It's 90, so 9 centimeters wide, 10 being the width of the rim. So an actual sort of moto tire on this wheel. Should be good against punctures too. When it comes to software features, nothing is really lacking either, except for the smart BMS, which I told about earlier. Once you get the wheel, just first thing to do, alarm setting, turn off level 2 alarm, otherwise it will be beeping. You have your modes. I set my power alarm at 70. You can adjust if the wheel tilts and turns with this horizontal tilt adjustment. Where is it? Here, pedal turning angle adjustment. And yeah, you have all the things you need, even race mode and the angle adjustment. But the biggest issue of the angle adjustment is that the wheel forgets it once you turn it on and off. So I wish Begode changes that in the future. And also if there would be decimal increments, or at least 0.5, 1.5, etc. for the angle, and that the wheel remembers it, that would be a lot better. But other than that, really nothing to complain about in the app either. Now let's talk a bit about the accessories on this wheel, or all of the sort of features, pedals, you know, the trolley handle, etc. And here the Begode Falcon doesn't disappoint either. The pedals are, you know, the best in the game, with proper mountain bike studs, really nice, very big, stay in place, much better than on S16, S18, S19. When it comes to the side pads, they were honestly, they were terrible. They were unrideable out of the box because of the brake pad was getting into literally your leg here in the back. So I had to cut it off. If you have a Begode Falcon, I would highly suggest either cutting it off or just taking the whole pad sort of bumper combo off. Pads are just terrible, very bad rubber, very stiff rubber. I think it's better to ship this wheel honestly without this whole sort of pad situation around it. Once I put them off, there is Velcro behind here, which is awesome, and I put some Grizzly pads on it. It's a bit of a different configuration, as you can see. I like to put my pads in the wrong way. But this works for me so well. There's also a coupon code, wrong way, if you want to get any of these. There's little reflectors here in the front. You can also put a GoPro mount here. Super awesome. So yeah, with those pads, this wheel changed drastically, and it's so nice to ride. Also put some furniture tape here because there's just plastic behind here, and yeah, this will make your ride a little bit more comfortable. The lighting is fine. Nothing to write home about, not too bright, not too dim, but no cutoff beam. So still pretty basic for wheels, but it does the job. But when it comes to the taillight, apart from the nonsense that is like blocking half of the taillight off with the hinge here for the trolley handle, it's very bright. So, you know, if in the future they can account for like the hinge design, that would be an actual awesome taillight. Now it's like just a bit too obstructed for my taste, but does the job, does the job. On top we can see the super nice bright display, not present on the S18. On the S19 and S16, the displays are also fine, but here the digits are readable in any condition. 4 bars, motor temperature, total mileage ridden 150 kilometers. Super nice. Trolley handle is nice that it locks in place, but it doesn't lock in place on the top. So that's something I told Begode about. Hopefully they will make the mechanism so it locks on the top as well. And in general, there's just like so much metal on this wheel, and it gives me just a lot of confidence. It's very simply made. If you look at the motherboard, the cables just run to the batteries. You see the, you know, the suspension right away. Everything is metal. Everything looks super sturdily built, and that is something I really like. So the motor mount on mine is just an axle, and that was for the pre-production models. But the first batch already has some sort of like a thick steel axle or hollow motor. So for heavier riders, you shouldn't have any issues either. I never heard that. I lived here for 27 years. Right below, right below the headlight is also the charge port. It's located in a nice spot, but there is this small rubber flap. This rubber flap rubs against the cap a little bit. I think it's a bit too short, but you can work around it, and I think it's nice that it's plastic. It won't fall out on its own. And the buttons to power on and off the wheel also nicely located. You just turn it on, and then you can go out for a ride. Because the trolley handle can be damaged here in the back, as you can see, but it holds on tight for now. Oh, and the kickstand bent once for me, but no biggie, I just hammered it back in place. A very Begode thing to do was putting holes into the mudguard. I just put some tape on there, and now it works better. But still, the mudguard, when you go out for a rainy ride, is a little bit too short, and water can spray from the tire onto here, onto your legs. I wish this would be like a bit wider or something. Maybe then the mudguard would be better. In the front, it's sort of long enough, but for a city commuter wheel, I would like it slightly longer or something on the side so my feet won't get wet. But yeah, the biggest problem was in the back. So yeah, in total, except for the, the pads, the stock pads, which suck, let's be honest here, and also the lack of a seat, you can sit on this wheel fairly comfortably, but since I put the pads off, it's not that comfortable. Maybe Grizzlo will come up with a seat, or I don't know. For the price of that wheel, and especially looking at the competition, I feel like it scores in a lot of areas better than the Kingsong lineup of things, because the trolley handle, I think it's in general better than on the S16 and S19. The S18 has a better trolley handle, but I just don't like how big it is. This is much smaller, and the range should be somewhere around the same ballpark, 40 to 50 kilometers. I didn't test that yet, but I'll do so in the future. All right. Maybe I got a little bit ahead of myself here, because when you look at even the OneRide site, there's a lot of wheels that are at the same price or just slightly more expensive that have a lot more range. So I guess the thing that you don't get on the Falcon as much, but I need to still test it. Why didn't I do it in this video? It's just less battery. 900 watt hours in this one, but 1500 watt hours in the S16, 1800 watt hours in the S19, or for example 1800 watt hours in a Begode T4, which is actually €100 cheaper than this. So what you pay for really is that this product is really new, it's really small, but the downsides are the smaller battery and the lesser suspension travel, just 6 centimeters here. On a T4, on a S19, on the S16, S18 too, you will have more suspension travel, but this is why this wheel is also so small, and you shouldn't have that much, maintenance with this one. It's just a spring coil shock, so with integrated sliders. So yeah, just a little bit more context, because I felt like I got a little bit ahead of myself. I've been just really positively surprised with that small, angry little Falcon. All right, but since we are already in a old town part of Warsaw, we have to test the suspension too. And here we have quite a bit less travel than on the competition. I think it's just around 8 centimeters. And the worst part about it is not really the comfort, because the comfort is like, it's good enough. I can jump on it. It does help me slightly with the imperfections on the road. Definitely much more comfortable than without suspension, but not as smooth as, veteran fast-ace suspension or, or the Kingsong S18's suspension. But with that said, I would say it's good enough. The biggest problem with it is honestly adjusting the suspension. Now, I like to adjust my suspension, and Begode was like, no, you don't like to adjust your suspension, because there is no way to adjust the suspension on the fly. And you have to actually take not only the top cover off, which is 6 screws to adjust the suspension. No, you also need to take off the front handle bumper contraption too. So it's just a lot of work to, take those parts off, and then you can't even ride that thing with all of the, motherboard out in the wild. So what I would suggest you to do if you want to actually adjust your suspension is to, take the top cover off, take the handle off, and compared to veteran, the compression and rebound settings are on the opposite side. So the compression is on the right side and the rebound is on the left side. There's also just those janky screws popping out. They're to mount the plastic on the cylinder that sort of adjusts the suspension, but it just looks very jank to me, honestly. With that said, once you play around a little bit, you can just bounce up and down, see if you like the setting. Then I would advise you to just screw the top motherboard cover on with 2 screws. You ride a little bit, and you just need to take off 2 screws instead of eyeballing it and then riding with the whole thing, disassembling it, reassembling it. It's just bad design, really. And this is for me the biggest gripe with the Falcon, the suspension adjustment. So hopefully they will come up with a more smart solution in the future. And also it does make this sound. And I think it's the compression. I've put a lot more compression on it, almost to full, to make like drops and make the thing more bouncy. But yeah, it makes the sound then, which I do not like so much. It's here, and I think that's a feature, it's not a bug. So to sum it up, I think that the Begode Falcon has a lot of features, a lot of, you know, stuff going for it. The price is also nice, but I would just like to see it a couple €100 less expensive, just to, you know, make the value proposition, which is a, you know, metal box with batteries and a little bit of the technology, or quite a bit of technology, let's be honest here. It's not so easy to develop suspension or, you know, the whole design of the wheel. Yeah, but if they could price it just at like €1,600 or like €1,700, would be perfect. But, you know, with my coupon code, you can bring that price down a little bit too. So yeah, power is all right. Suspension is good enough. Not the, you know, most comfortable thing ever, and you won't do any trails with it. But it's still super nice for most of the stuff you do. Charging is nice. Durability looks all right. All of the features on it are very sort of usable and nice. Let's turn around. So yeah, just in general. Yeah. So just in general, this is a very enjoyable wheel. I'm just gonna probably ride around a little bit, have fun on it. And if you're still here, leave a like on the video. Subscribe to see more content like this. I'll see you in the next video. See you soon.